On the evening of October 25, 1984, a food engineer named Günther Stoll made a sudden, chilling statement to his wife. He spoke of something bad about to happen, of people who were coming to get him. A short while later, he scribbled some letters that didn't seem to make sense on a piece of paper. YOGTZE. He immediately crossed it out. He then left his home, drove to his favorite bar, and then disappeared into the night. Hours later, he was found barely alive, not in his own crashed car, but on the side of a highway, naked and talking wildly about 4 other men. He died on the way to the hospital. This case, always remembered by those mysterious letters, became the YOGTZE mystery. For many years, people have guessed about it, a place where made-up stories and real facts mix. We will look at the solid evidence, figuring out what the facts really tell us from the exciting stories that have grown, because there are no answers. The main person in this long-lasting puzzle, Günther Stoll, was a 37-year-old man from Unsolved, Germany. By all accounts, he was a regular guy living a pretty quiet life. He had a steady job, and friends said he was thoughtful and sometimes too careful. However, in the time before he died, he had been struggling with times of feeling like people were out to get him. To understand the evidence, we must first make a clear timeline. The order of events on October 25, 1984, gives the basic structure for any investigation. It began at about 11 o'clock p.m. Günther Stoll was at home with his wife in Unshausen.
He suddenly jumped up and shouted, "Now I get it!" or "A light has dawned on me."
He wrote the letters YOGTZE on a piece of paper, immediately crossed them out, and then suddenly left the house. His wife was left confused. After he left, Stoll drove his Volkswagen Golf to his usual bar in Wilnsdorf. He arrived and ordered 1 beer, but didn't drink it. He suddenly fell to the floor. Witnesses said he didn't seem drunk. He quickly got back up and left without saying a word. This happened around 11:30 p.m. The next confirmed sighting is around 1 o'clock a.m. on October 26th. A fellow church member saw him driving his Volkswagen Golf. This places him on the A45 heading toward Dortmund. This is the last time he was seen alive behind the wheel. What happened in the 90 minutes between the bar and this sighting is unknown. The timeline ends with 2 final, sad discoveries. The autopsy report gives the clearest and most chilling evidence in the whole YOGTZE case. It's the story told by Günther Stoll's body, without any guessing or rumors. The doctors who looked at the body said he died from very bad injuries, but the type of injuries was very specific and deeply confusing. The injuries didn't match what a driver usually gets in a car crash they survive. No big seatbelt injuries, no glass cuts, no steering wheel impact bruises that you would expect from the crash his car had. Instead, the report showed a pattern of injuries that pointed to a much more direct and brutal kind of violence, something that happened outside of a simple car accident. The most important finding was that Stoll's fatal injuries were like those from being run over by a vehicle. Bruises, internal damage, broken bones suggested he was lying on a surface, probably the road, when a car drove over him. This single piece of evidence completely changes the story. It moves the case from a possible suicide or a simple accident into the area of a murder, or, at the very least, a very unusual hit and run. His own car was not the cause of these injuries. The damage to it wasn't bad enough, and it was 100 kilometers away. This meant another vehicle was involved at the place where he was found. It partly proved what he said before he died about not being alone. The investigation immediately got complicated. There were 2 different places far apart. The first place was where the Volkswagen Golf crashed in a quarry access road ditch off the A45. Looking at the car didn't give much information. Investigators found Stoll's blood inside, confirming he had been in the car after being injured. There were no clear fingerprints and no tiny bits of evidence from unknown people. Not finding such evidence doesn't mean it wasn't there. It just means no useful traces were left or found. The car itself was a puzzle. The damage looked survivable. It wasn't the kind of crash to explain the terrible injuries Stoll had or how he ended up naked 100 kilometers away. Investigators thought the crash might be accidental or even staged to mislead. The second scene, where truck drivers found Günther Stoll, was the real crime scene. Tire tracks on the shoulder didn't match Stoll's Golf, confirming at least one other vehicle had been there. The evidence here was more telling. The ground showed faint signs of a struggle. The critical evidence was Stoll himself, his body showing how brutal it had been. The link in place and time between these two scenes is the heart of the mystery. The most logical explanation, from the evidence, is that he was taken by the people he said attacked him. Taken, then attacked, stripped, and run over, matching his words, the autopsy, and the tire track findings. People don't like empty spaces, and when there's little evidence, guesses rush in to fill the gap. The YOGTZE case, with its strange note and unexplained facts, was perfect for myths to grow. The most common and lasting ones are about spying and organized crime. The Cold War was still happening in 1984, and West Germany was known for spy operations. The mysterious nature of YOGTZE made many believe it was a secret word, a radio call sign for a foreign spy agency, or a password for a secret meeting that went wrong. These ideas paint Stoll not as a worried food engineer, but as a low-level agent or informant who got into big trouble. These spy theories, while interesting, have no real basis in the actual evidence. There was nothing in Stoll's past, his belongings, or the findings to suggest any connection to spying. The autopsy showed a brutal physical death, not a clean, professional killing you might expect from trained agents. Another popular type of myth involves criminal plots, debts, blackmail, a gang's message killing. Again, however, these criminal theories are not supported by any solid evidence. He had no known debts and no known enemies. But a possible reason isn't evidence. The facts remain. A man was beaten, taken, and run over. Why it happened and who did it remains stubbornly unknown. At the heart of the mystery, and where its name comes from, is the note, YOGTZE. For many years, these letters have been treated as the main clue. Amateurs and professional detectives have looked at it endlessly. Could it be a word puzzle? A license plate number? A radio call sign from Romania? The problem with all these ideas is that they need a bunch of unproven guesses. They assume the letters are a code. They assume Stoll wrote them correctly. They assume they are directly related to the people who caused his death. There's simply no evidence to support any of these starting points. A handwriting analysis confirmed the writing was Günther Stoll's. It proves the note came from him and wasn't put there by someone else. The analysis also noted how hard and fast he wrote. But that shows little beyond him being upset. From an evidence point of view, the note tells us only one thing for sure. In a moment of extreme distress, he wrote these 6 letters and immediately crossed them out. The letters themselves have no real scientific value. They are not a DNA sample. They are not a fingerprint. What if the clue that changes everything isn't what YOGTZE means, but that it means nothing? Given Stoll's known paranoia and the sudden fall he took in the bar, it's possible he had a psychological or brain event, the letters a product of a confused mind. If the note is a sign of paranoia rather than a clue to a crime, his actions become easier to understand. After many years of investigation, we must go back to the solid evidence. What can we say for sure about Günther Stoll's death? Science gives a clear, though incomplete, picture. We know that he died from massive force trauma consistent with being run over by a vehicle. We know this didn't happen during the crash of his own car. We know from the tire tracks and his own dying words that at least one other vehicle and other people were present at the scene of his death. The autopsy confirms he got other injuries from a beating, separate from being run over. We know he was found naked, 100 kilometers from his abandoned car. These are the facts, based on the physical evidence of the case. However, the list of what we don't know is much longer. We don't know who the other people were. We don't know why they did it. Was it a planned attack, or a random meeting that got out of hand with a vulnerable man? We don't know how he was moved from his car to the final location. We don't know why he was stripped of his clothes. And most famously, we don't know what YOGTZE means, or if it means anything at all. The lasting lesson of the YOGTZE case is how important it is to separate evidence from made-up stories. The evidence points to a down-to-earth, though horrifying possibility. A man in a paranoid episode falls into the hands of bad people who commit a senseless and brutal act of violence. We know a man died violently. We don't know why. And in that gap, the mystery of YOGTZE will continue to live.